Hello? Hello? How are we? I hope we're doing good. This music is a little ominous for the start. I found a new album that I like. From Patricia Taxon, who's the person we get all the music from for our streams. But yeah. This album is called Nexus Pelican. It's nice. Okay, welcome everybody to the critique stream. We're going to be going over some lovely little character designs and some illustrations from our Patreon supporters. And I'm going to be tearing them to shreds. Not actually. I'm just going to give feedback where I can. So yeah, welcome. Hi, Fitz. Hello, Alias. Hello, Silster. Hello, Lil Devil. Hello, Recality. Hi, Ink. How are we doing? Okay. Where are my screens? Where are they? Who would like to go first? That's my first question. Who wants to be the first victim? I'm gonna turn the music down in my ears, actually. I always have it so loud for me, and then so quiet for you guys. Okay, hopefully that level works. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Who wants to go first? Because I see Ink and Fitz are here. Actually, who the heck do we have in our lineup? Because I grabbed everything, but... Right, so we have Sean, who submitted. We have Ink, Pigment, and Terrarium. And Fitz and Lil Devil. Oh, oh my god. I didn't put that together. Lil Devil, you're also here. I don't mind when I go. Okay. No mercy, no hesitation. Exactly. Hello, how are you doing? I'm doing good. If you're talking to me. Madam Universe. Hello, Seoliath. I'm sorry if that's not how you pronounce your username. I submitted to Amphiats. Yes, yes. Okay. Ink, Lil Devil, do you have a preference? Because I know Fitz doesn't mind when they go. There's such a delay on my message that it's probably on our end because we have a bit of a delay. We should probably go in to fix that. I'm gonna make a note of that because I always say it during the stream and then the stream ends and it just leaves my head. So I'm gonna make a note to check out our stream delay after this. Hi, Fluffy Fox. That is an adorable username, by the way. 10 out of 10. Okay. I'm down to go first. I feel no fear. Okay. Thank you, Ink. I will, once I finish writing my note, I will look at your submissions. Okay. Stream delay. Got it. Okay. Now I can fix that for next time. Okay, oh, by the way, so we're doing this stream early, as you can probably tell. I think that's going to be the case for future critique streams, as we're going to do them a bit earlier, just because this month we're a bit light, but sometimes we get a lot of submissions, and it's hard to do them late into the day, because it's like, sometimes it'll be like 5 or 6 when we finish here. So, yeah, so I'm doing it a bit earlier, just in case it goes long. And then we can give everyone due time. The Thursday ones are hard, though, because they're, like, I work, and then I get, like, an hour to eat dinner, and then we do the stream. So that one's a bit hard to move, but we'll see. Okay. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. There we go. I like this time because I have D&D at 3 on Saturdays. Oh, hi, Oberon. New septum. I mean, I switched the ring out. My septum it's still there. I still have a nose septum. Okay. I can go third in that case. Okay. Okay, so we'll do ink and then Little Devil and then Fitz. Awesome. Okay. Let's do this. Not swappable septum. Exactly, exactly. No cyborg here yet. I mean, I have had a septum removed. Just not my nose septum. Okay. Ink. What did you say about your work here? Okay. Here's some epic ones. Hell yes. Okay, general feedback on anatomy, color, composition, and etc. Okay. Same questions as usual, specifically for the second one, which is what I have on screen here. Okay, I'll start with the first one that you submitted. Okay. Oh damn, I thought it would start at 13:15. No, it started at 12 o'clock. I realized I put it at 12:15. That was my bad. Hi, Saber Squid. Also, hi, Doku. Okay. So, okay, anatomy, color, and composition for this one. So, I think, color-wise, everything's looking very solid. Obviously, it's a very, like, blue, heavy color palette, and I think you've done a good job with, like, balancing. Like, I like how you have this very, like, purpley blue in the background, and then you go, like, a more cerulean, not cerulean, cyan kind of color for, Blue Diamond's, skin and hair. I think you've got pretty good contrast throughout. I think the pink also works well because it's a very, like, it's got a lot of blue in it. It's more towards the magenta-y side, a lot more purple and blue in it. So it works really well. But yeah, contrast is good. You can definitely, there's good contrast between, like, her skin and her hair, the background and the foreground. Even though you have some, like, light colors going on here with, like, the hair and the clouds in the background, there's still, like, because of where you've added these, like, really light highlights, I think the contrast is still there. And I like the contrast that you have in the shadows on Blue Diamond. I also like for, like, the blush and the lips and mouth and stuff, you're bringing in some of that, like, purpley blue into it, and it still meshes really well with the cyan, so that works really well color-wise. I would say for the clouds in the background, they feel very gray and desaturated, and, like, I kind of get the choice for that because the background and Blue Diamond are very saturated, and you want that to really stand out more than the clouds. I think they just need to have a bit more, like, color pulled into them. They're very gray. So maybe if you pulled them towards, like a very light version. I might go with the kind of purpley background blue more than the cyan, because if you use the cyan, it could blend in with her hair quite a bit. But just bringing, like, a little bit more color into those clouds, I think would really help with just bringing more life to them, I guess. Bringing the colors together a bit more. Oh, hi, Pigment. Welcome. Sorry for the time difference. We're going to be doing this time moving forward for critiques. What else do you do other than comics and watercolor? Do you make posters, graphic, and character designs? Yeah, we do all sorts of stuff. We do, I've done video. We mostly focus on comic work, but I also do, like, graphic design stuff, character design, set design, illustration, all that kind of arty, storytelling stuff. Oh, light pink would also work. Yep. Bringing in some more of the pinky stuff as well. Could also work. The other thing I would say, now while I like the contrast that you have on the shadows, I think, I think on her skin you might want to add like not everywhere, but just like a little bit more dark shadow on some of the contact areas. So for example, where her bangs are touching her face, like I like how you have these like really tight contact shadows here, but I think you need to go like a little bit darker and make sure your shadows are staying saturated. When you add gray or black into your shadows, it can make things feel very flat. By keeping them very saturated, so maybe using like a blue like you have here in the background that is like dark and saturated, you can it creates more depth. It's good contrast. I think you'll be a lot happier with how your shadows look by adding that. And I think adding these like kind of darker contact shadow areas like under the chin, where the hair touches the face, where the hair's like on the shoulders, anything like that. I think it'll just add a bit more shape and kind of volume to your shadows. The hair, I was gonna ding you on the hair for like the shadows being a bit desaturated, but I think it works because the hair is very like light and kind of gray, so I think that works. I think the same thing goes for the clouds, where the shadows are very desaturated, and I think bringing in some more saturation into the shadows will help you. Hi Terrarium, welcome. Right. So that's the color stuff, I think. Anatomy and composition. Compositionally, it works. I like how you've got her face right on a focal point. You have lots of elements going around, kind of leading you back in, like the line of these clouds here. The clouds, like, silhouetting her. Not silhouetting, surrounding her. Yeah, lots of elements just leading around the page. I think you've done a really good job with that. And using the cyan and like brightness and vibrance to her colors really brings attention to them, and I think you did a good job with that compositionally as well. If anything, I might give just like a half inch more above her head in these clouds here, just for a bit more breathing room. Like, I think you've done a good job of leaving a good amount of space like around your focus, which is Blue Diamond here. But I think you need just like a small bit of space right above her head, just to give that a little bit more breathing room, so you can focus a bit more on her, and it would bring her a bit, like her face, like a bit more onto that focal point, which is in the kind of thirds of your composition. But overall, I think you've done a really good job compositionally with this one. And then for anatomy, I think you've also done a good job here. There's a few small things. Her arm feels a little bit curved, like the forearm here. It should be a bit more straight. It might be an illusion happening with the shadow, just because you've got this curve going on with the shadows on her arms, and I understand why you did it, because I think you're trying to imply the roundness of the arm, because like the arm is a cylinder. But I think it just curves like a little bit too much, and it makes it look like the bone is curved a little bit. So I think that just needs to be straightened out. Maybe straightening out the shadows a little bit, so they don't kind of curve off to the left so much. The anatomy in the hand looks really great. The shape of her head and her face is working really well, especially with her eyes and her forehead. Like, everything feels very aligned kind of in the top half of her face. I find the end of her nose feels a little bit off to the left, a bit too much. I might bring it back here a little bit. And I think you'll get that effect by just shortening it a tad, like right where you have the nostril is kind of where you might want to end the nose, just to make it feel more in the center of her face. And then with her mouth, there's something going on with the left side of her mouth that feels a little bit off. Like, I get that you have it, like, her mouth is turned because she's in a 3/4 view. But it just feels... I think it needs to be more of like a convex curve, so her mouth is more of like an oval instead of this concave shape you have. Like, I get what you're doing, because if you look at the mouth from the side, like, you see... like, you'd see the hinge of the lips, but, like, I think it still needs to go outward rather than inward at this angle. Just because she's 3/4, but it's still very, like, from the front of her face. And I think her teeth are going a bit too far off the side. Like, I might end it right where my cursor is here. Just put like a straight line down just to make her teeth feel like they're curving inside of her mouth a bit more. And it might be an illusion of her hair, but her neck feels a little bit thick to me. It's hard when you have long hair like this because it can create like tangents, I guess. Because like the neck is positioned right, but I think of just like where the hair is positioned, it makes her neck look very thick. I might bring it in a bit more, like add a bit more of like a curl over her neck, just so you don't get this illusion going on. And I think her shoulders could be a bit wider, but you're on the right track. They feel very structured. I think that's it for this one. Do you have any other questions, Ink, about this one? I like how the hair frames her like clothes. Yeah, agreed. I'll move on to the next one, and then let me know if you have questions, Ink. Okay, so same questions as above. How is the running and motion looking? I found that particularly challenging to do. Does this seem like the right amount of background business going on, or is it too busy or too sparse? Okay, so for this one, you can definitely tell that she's running, and she's running towards the camera. I think you've got a lot of good motion going, and a lot of good, foreshortening happening, like on the knee, like coming forward towards the viewer, and then this hand going back into the distance. So I think you did a good job with the running. I think that hits everything. Okay, awesome. But yeah, I think that... Is she big or is the other guy's far away? That was also a question I have. Because from the perspective here, it looks like she's a large lady. Like a giant woman, as it were. Anyways, yeah, really great work with the perspective on this lady here. I think there's a few places where it needs to be... Is she big? Okay. Okay, then you're doing good work with the perspective and the background. Anyways, I think there's a little bit of work that needs to be done here and there to help with the anatomy and the perspective. So, in particular, there's a thigh gap happening, and I don't think it would happen this way. I think this leg that's coming forward needs to overlap this back leg a little bit, just to help create that perspective of this leg being like brought forward. Overlap can create a good amount of depth to pieces, like artwork. Don't be afraid to like make things overlap and cover each other. It's just great. It adds visual interest. It creates depth. And yeah, especially for this knee, you can show that it's coming forward by just scooching it over to the left a little bit and having it cover up this back leg. I think you've done a good job with like showing the foot going backwards, but I find here with her foot that's like planted on the ground, I think what happened, so right now it's looking very stunted and squished down and like too small, and the perspective isn't quite right with how it's hitting the ground. And I think the reason this happened is because it's being stunted by the edge of your canvas here. So with when you're drawing something, keep your like main objects away from the edges. Like never have, I mean, not never, obviously there's ways to do it, especially if you're like trying to do like an intentional effect. But a good rule of thumb is to not have your main subject covering or touching the edge of your canvas. It makes it look, it turns the edge of the canvas into like a frame or a shelf that they're standing on. And it can also create like a stunted limb or piece or whatever. It depends on what you're drawing. But for example, her foot looks really small and condensed here because it looks like you were trying to fit it into the canvas. So what I do in this case, if I would have expanded your canvas so there's more room below so you can really see her foot and have some breathing room below it, or have her foot leave the canvas. It's always a good idea to, if you're going to crop, like if you're gonna have a person, say like part of them leaving the canvas, cut things off kind of like don't cut things off at the joints. Like don't crop at like the knees or the ankles or the waist or the neck. Like always go kind of like in between things. So like middle of the thigh, middle of the shin, middle of like the shoulders and chest area. Just because you can create that same kind of like shelf tangent frame kind of look that this is having right now. But also don't be afraid to have elements leave the canvas, because that also creates visual interest. It creates lines that lead you back into the composition when you have things leave the canvas area. So in this case, because I like the power that comes with like showing her whole body and showing like her foot planted on the ground, I would expand this and just have a little bit of breathing room underneath her. And I think it would help with like, because this foot needs to be bigger. It looks like it's kind of turned a little bit, and I think you need to see it more from the front, the way this back foot is being shown. But I think all of that can be helped by if you expand things a little bit. Since this is digital, when you are sketching, remember you can move things around. Yeah, true. Very true. It can be hard when you're drawing on paper, because sometimes you'll be drawing and then kind of scrunch things up and then be like, oh, dang it. But yeah, totally up to you. Anyways. So that's that. What were the other questions? Oh, right. Does it seem like the right amount of background business? So I like the action going on. Like I like, I adore this little dude flying away in the background. That's me. Very relatable. I did a lot of Frankensteining on this one. Okay. Frankensteining, for anyone listening, it's when you will grab like your lasso tool digitally and kind of like shift things around using that, or like transforming or moving or reshaping things using like the tools on a digital program instead of like redrawing it fully. I think honestly you've done a good job, even if you've done some Frankensteining work, because it is a tool that you can do if you need to. For example, I always draw the heads too big, so I find like I'll resize the head when I'm drawing digitally with using the lasso tool. But the problem with it is it can create like stiffness, it can create like weird anatomy mistakes. So it's a tool you can use, but be careful with it. It sometimes is helpful to just redraw it. because you can get more fluidity that way. It was an L. No, I think you did a good job. Frankensteining, then I redraw over it. See, that's a good strategy. That's something I will also do. I'll resize things and then draw over. It just gives you like a fresh way to look at it. Heads especially, mood. Yep, exactly, me too. The lines always get chopped off. Aw. Yeah, true, because then it does create like broken lines and stuff, so it is good to redraw over top if you do it. Okay. Right, but background stuff. So I think there's a good amount of background noise. I think there's the same issue as with like her foot getting kind of scrunched. I want to see more room below her to show more of the destruction kind of going on down here, because that's like really fun and cool about this. It'll show like her size and the power that she has by like just expanding more area down at the bottom and showing like this guy feels cut off too close. He's having that problem where he's cut off at the waist, and I want to see more. So like I'd want to see more of the this little dude down here and more kind of foreground elements, if that makes sense. Just because of where it's cropped, it feels very sparse at the front. Because like I love how you've got like you've done a good job at showing the distance behind her, because you've got these like shadows, you've got like grass textures and stuff. You're showing the like the graves and barricades and stuff behind her. And they get smaller and less detailed as it goes back. And I love how your texture gets more condensed as it goes back. I think you've done a really good job with showing the distance here, and same with the clouds and stuff behind her. It's very atmospheric. You've done a good job with showing the perspective. I just want to see more in front of her, because that will help with adding more of that depth. Yeah, so I just want more in front. I think that's all I gotta say for the background, because you've done a good job with perspective, like I said, and creating like visual interest and echoes and stuff. Okay, so color, anatomy, and composition. Composition I won't go too much into. I mostly just want to see more at the bottom here, but I'd also see like a little bit of space above her head to kind of like give her crown antler thingies like a bit more space. I basically want it just like lengthened a little bit, or like make her smaller and kind of add more details around the edges. Hiroshige elements? I don't know what those are. Okay, right. But, yeah, you've got a lot of good motion going on. Like, I love, the flow of her, like, dress. Especially on this side, like, I really like the way it, like, flips. You can see lots of movement. Same with her hair. Yeah, really great work with that. I love the dynamicness of, like, the shields and the explosions and stuff happening. Yeah, really, really cool work with that. I think there could be more done with the lighting, because you have these really cool lighting effects. I think you need to go like very like go hard with the lighting effect here. Dark silhouette in the foreground. Oh yeah, yes. Okay, I didn't know what that was called. I just use the silhouettes and stuff. So yeah, so what Fitz is talking about is you can add silhouetted foreground elements. So like, I don't know, let's say you have like a wagon like here at the front. Instead of drawing like a fully lit wagon, you can do kind of like a silhouetted version and maybe do some like little details you can see kind of like at the edge because it's like lit from the front. Just because it can create depth and because it's silhouetted, it doesn't pull attention away from like the main subject of your piece. Yeah, it's really great for creating depth, and you can also use it to like frame the elements in your composition. So yeah, I use that a lot with foreground elements. If I don't want them to be focused on, silhouetting them is like a really good idea. And you can make them large and kind of like at the front in the bottom, or at the top if it's like, I don't know, trees or like overhangs or something. But yeah, it's a really great thing to use in your compositions. Like I've seen in 2D video games. Exactly. So if you're playing like, does Hollow Knight do it? Anyways, but yeah, but you'll see in like 2D video games, you'll see like they'll have like foliage at the bottom of the screen that's just silhouetted or like really darkly colored. So yeah, really great tool for creating depth in your pieces. Platformers do it a lot. Exactly. I'm starting Hollow Knight today. Hell yeah, that game's so fun. The artwork in it is also really lovely, so. Hollow Knight does it? Okay, so I'm remembering correctly. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, right. Lean into the lighting. So you have it a bit here. Like you have some like, kind of red, like glowing effects happening on her. But I think like, because if you have like an explosion this close, like your shadows would be, if she has all these explosions in front of her, the shadow would be at her back, and it would be very dark and like cool colored, so it would probably be like a blue if you have this like orangey fire in front of her. You'd have like a light source hitting here, so you'd get like shadows on this side of her face like you have, but you're also getting a light from over here, so you'd have these like bright orange highlights here and more shadow on her other side. Because there's like an explosion behind her, you'd probably see some light, some like orangey yellow kind of lighting, like rim lighting on the back of her legs, and then you'd have some shadows up at the front, but that would also be offset because you have another explosion here, so you'd have another kind of like glow where you have it, and then more kind of shadows behind, like you'd probably see it on this side of her leg. It's very complicated because you have a lot of light source and effects happening here. I'd recommend reading, oh my god, what's it called? Color and Light? Yeah, Color and Light. Let me just double check the artist. Color and Light by James Gurney. So I love that book. It is every art school and illustrator will probably recommend it to you because it's so useful. So I recommend reading Color and Light. It's called A Guide for the Realist Painter. It does get very, like, it talks a lot about, like, realism and stuff and, like, how actual shadows work, but you can take everything in it and apply it to more stylized in illustrations. But it talks a lot about light and how it works, and I think you'll find it really helpful for learning how to do lighting effects like this. That book is really good. I read it a year ago, and it was big-brained. Might be time to revisit it. Definitely. Like, I go back and look at it all the time because it's so helpful and it has a lot of information that's really hard to absorb at once. So definitely just look at different sections and kind of pick out what you're working on and find one thing to focus on. But I think because with this you have so many different light sources, I don't think the way it's shaded here is like correct, and I think you could go a lot more dramatic with it. I think also because you have so many like interesting like color choices, I think you could go really bold on the colors of her, because the way you're using the colors on her, it looks like she's standing in daylight, so it's very like brightly lit, very I guess, like, neutrally colored, if that makes sense. Like, she definitely has, like, a cool color scheme with, like, the greens and blues and stuff. But I think you need to, like, lean into these, like, reds and purples and pinks you're using. And it'll take some fussing, because you still want these to read as green and blue, even when you, like, tint them towards, like, yellow and red and pink. But I think you can do it, because you're good with color stuff. What was the book's name? Yeah, Color and Light by James Gurney. Here, I'll write it in chat. It has a dinosaur on the cover. Oh. Seoliath got it. Thanks, friend. But yeah, really good book. Recommend it for all illustrators everywhere. Okay. I find reading about art techniques difficult to absorb. That's totally fair. Everyone learns differently, right? Like, I also like looking at video stuff. I'm sure there's got to be someone who's talked about that book or similar concepts. Maybe I'll do some digging and see if I can find some good video resources for people. Okay. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, so I think you could push the colors here, but what you have going still works. I do really love the kind of teal blue on top of the pink, and I think this, I love this green color, by the way, this kind of like sagey, yellowy green on her, her dress piece, works really well. Balance it works, it like, works well with the grass, which has lots of yellow in it, which works with like the fire and stuff. I think overall you've got a good handle on the colors. I think you just need to like push it more with the lighting. Yeah, does that cover everything? Ink? Do you have any other questions? Sorry, I'm just writing a note to myself. Okay. I think it hits everything. I'm gonna redraw this one because I like it a lot. Hell yeah. I'd love to see how it turns out. Awesome. Well, thanks, Ink. So next we had Lil Devil, right? Who I believe. Right, so we have Lil Devil, then Fitz, Terraria. I don't think Sean's here. But Terrarium and Pigment are here. So let me know which one of you wants to go next. Pigment or Terrarium. After Fitz. Okay, so, my friend. Okay. A couple of model sheets and a beast design. Okay. For Jacqueline's model, I want to get your opinion on accuracy. I'm inexperienced with turnarounds like this. Okay, you usually do more dynamic poses. It was surprisingly hard, especially because I've done all the clothes and hair on separate layers to use for alt outfits as well. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Do you have any tips on how to streamline the process? I want to do this more, but I don't want to spend months on each one. It's hard. It's hard. I definitely have also spent a lot of time making character design sheets. Though I find for me it's more like designing the character initially. I'll go next? Okay. Okay, so I'll do... So right, so we'll finish Little Devils, then Fitz, then Terrarium, and then Pigment. Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. Anyways, but yeah, it can be time-consuming to do design work. Especially if you're breaking it down into different layers. I think that's really interesting because you're right. If you have the, like, her shirt as one layer, you could change the shirt underneath or like swap out the jeans for like shorts or a skirt or something really easily. So that is really interesting, but definitely sounds time consuming. Yeah, a lot of what I tend to do, a lot of ways that I actually cut corners is I will, when I'm doing a character sheet like this, I will typically draw the front view like you have it and then one side view. I don't even do two side views generally. The delay is super rough. I'm sorry. I know. Next stream hopefully we'll fix it up. So if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat and I'll try to answer them as I go. Right. What was I saying? Right, but yeah, so I don't even do two sides. I kind of understand what you're going for here because she does have the asymmetrical hair, so you might want to see how it looks on this side. But I tend to go pretty bare bones with it, so I'll just do my front view, and then what I do when I'm making my back view is I'll just like copy paste another version of my character, and basically like erase out all the details and just redraw the back. So yeah, so that's typically what I do, and I do the same if I was doing another side view. But typically for me, it depends. Like if you're sharing this with someone, you might want to go super detailed. But if it's just for yourself, just put what you need. See, another way to make it easy for this is like if you just needed the hair, like just do the head. Like, don't worry about doing another body. I mean, I guess it's easy for this one because it looks like it's just flipped. Oh, I guess you have the jeans details. But anyways, just like, yeah, if you have some highlight places where, like, she has asymmetrical hair or, like, say she had, like, a tattoo on one hand, just do that one hand and just her head. That'll save you some time here and there. I did that for the back too. Amazing. Good. Yeah, save yourself time. Cut corners where you can. Comics take way too freaking long. It also depends on what the character is meant for. That is true. So that is actually something I should bring up. So when you're doing more of these, keep these detailed ones for characters that are going to show up in a lot of scenes. So like obviously your main character, like main villains, major characters that are going to show up a lot that you're going to see from all these different angles inside your comic, you'll want this like detailed overview. But if you are creating like, I don't know, a character that's showing up in like one scene, or a character, or like background characters, they're called like spear holders. That's a term from like theater, but basically just like a set dressing character. Like they might not talk, they might not be they might not be important at all. Just do like one drawing of them to get the general gist, and then kind of make it up when you put them in the comic. Like, don't spend too much time on their turnaround. But major characters like this, you'll want the detailed ones in this way. Trying to think of other ways to make it really easy. I mean, the nice way about how you're setting this up is once you have it set up, it'll probably be really easy to create new outfits. And reuse different bits and bobs if you can like really just swap them out on different layers. Yeah. Yeah, I think another thing that can help that I've seen other people do, I'll sometimes do this, is like if I'll understand the character's colors just because like I'll have their initial turnaround and they're colored, so I know kind of what everything should look like. If I need like an extra bit, like I don't know, say you wanted to like show a detailed version of like her shirt underneath the plaid shirt. You could do just like a black and white drawing of it. Don't worry about coloring it because you already have the colors here. Just show you like how it works underneath if you need it. I've seen that done with like fantasy concepts where it's like complicated layering of clothing. They'll show like just black and white sketches of like how it looks if they say like took off, I don't know, their coat, and then you could see like an undershirt and a vest or something. I don't know. I have a lot of notes to myself, a lot of remembering patterns and smaller details like on the pants. This is very bold of you to be putting so many patterns and little details because like it's gonna be a lot. I mean, like the plaid looks pretty easy to replicate, which is good. That's something I learned in my first comic, was like creating I put really detailed tattoos on all my characters. Oh my god. So eventually I just got tired and I put clothes that covered up all the tattoos on the characters because I didn't want to deal with redrawing it. So be careful about adding so many little details. It creates a really cool looking character, but it can be a lot to work on when you're drawing. So just something to keep in mind for maybe more minor characters. In fact, a good rule of thumb, I mean, you need to find a balance because you want your main characters to look visually interesting, but a good rule of thumb is like, if a character shows up in one scene, they can be more complicated because you don't have to draw them a lot, but if they're showing up kind of everywhere in your comic in multiple scenes from multiple different viewpoints, you may want to simplify as much as you can. Especially the color palette, that's for quick color picking. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I was thinking, I was like, wow, this looks like a lot. Like, why not just pull it from the character? But that might be easy when you're actually working on the comic and just need to grab the colors really quickly. It might also be easier as you keep going with your characters and you have your template down of like what you need. It might be easier. Yeah, I'd also just say don't be so hard on yourself if it takes a while. All this prep work will make it so much easier for you later. Like, you'll be so happy with yourself for creating something so detailed like this and having it so prepped and ready for when you start working on your comics. I felt the same way when I was working on 9 Point. I mean, I still am, but doing all that prep work, like, oh my god, it took so long. It took so much work to like organize all the character sheets and lineups and colors and all that design stuff, but then like as soon as I had it and I started on the comic, like, oh my god, it was so easy. It was like, oh, I need a character for this background. Here, I have like 20 that I can just pick from, and like, here's all my colors, here's all my details. Like, oh my god, you'll thank yourself later so much. I minimized a lot, like her scars, for example. I used to have a lot more detail. That's good. That's good. I'm glad you simplified. That'll help you out a lot. Honestly, this is a really simple character design. Like, she's very, like, she's got a very streamlined character design. Like, she's got a lot of, like, shape and character to her, and I love the little details, like the plaid and the ripped jeans, and, like, her little markings and teeth and stuff. Like, also love the eyelashes. But yeah, but it's still very simplified, which also works. Okay, did you have any other questions for this? I also find, because like you mentioned you're more used to doing like dynamic posing, I still think this is like, it doesn't feel very stiff. And I think that's because the shapes you use are very dynamic in her design. And also, you don't really have to worry about stiffness and stuff for a character turnaround. So I think you did a really good job. Oh, one other thing. You're probably already aware of this, but this might help other people. It's great to have this. So like when you have your initial color palette for your characters, and treat it like this is what they look when they're in like daylight or neutral light. And then when you're actually making your comic or your illustration or whatever, and you're drawing your characters, don't be afraid to push away from the colors that you have here. So if you have this character at night, you'll probably want to push all of those reds in her design to like a more purpley color. It'll still read as red, but you need to like mesh it into your scenery. But it's really great to have this as your starting point, and then you can shift the colors around as you need to. Okay, next is the werewolf form. Oh, cute. Okay. Okay. Her wolver form, called Silver Eyes. Love it. I can't understand the front and back perspectives. The snout looks weird. The back mane looks weird. I'm not sure what to do. I keep going over it again and again, and it's driving me nuts. Oh no! The arms in the front and back perspective feel off. It just looks weird to me, like she isn't the same character almost. Okay, got you. Right. So she goes from that to this. Okay. Sorry, just comparing the characters here a bit. I think some things that might help you with, for example, the arms. So you've got a good start with the shape. Oh, I've looked at what it's like putting blue over her palette 50%. Gives an interesting look. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when you do that, just make sure to check your contrast, because sometimes doing a filter over top can kind of throw off your contrast balance. So I always tend to go in and just like mess with the colors myself. I'll start with a filter. But that's more kind of in-depth color theory stuff. But yeah, anyways, with the arms, so I like how you have like the skinny upper arm and then the thick forearm like she has in her design here. I wonder if maybe you need to round out her a little bit, because she does have some like spikiness to her, like especially with like her eyes and her hair and stuff, and she has these kind of like diamond-y shapes throughout her design. I think that's kind of what's missing, is like her wolf form or wolver form looks very it becomes a lot pointier, which I think can serve you because it makes her look more kind of ferocious, but I think you're missing that initial shape of her. Like things are getting a lot more jagged. It's going from like diamondy shapes more to like thin kind of triangle shapes, and more like her arms look more boxy. There's a lot more like thin triangles going on. It might help to really go back to this initial like diamond shape, and maybe like softening some stuff, because like she has curves to her arms and her legs. Her face shape is like it has points, but it's very softened down. And then that sharpness kind of comes out in her hair. So I wonder if you could do something similar for her wolver form with keeping her shapes maybe more squat, if that makes sense, because they're everything's gone kind of lanky with her. But maybe like, I don't know, making her like torso and rib cage area more kind of like diamond shape and squatter, and like thickening up her legs, possibly adding some more curve on her forearm, and then keeping the more jagged spikes just to like her mane and like the hair down her back. That might help you. Yeah, I like you've kept the eye shape really well. Oh, I love the feet. Those are good feet. Those are good wolf feet. I'm also finding with the shape of the tail, I'm getting more kind of lizardy vibes from it. I feel like it just needs more fluff, especially because like her hair is very fluffy. And I think it might feel more like her if she has like, because you have lots of volume in her mane. But I think if you brought that to the tail, that might also help. Right, and you said you were having trouble with the front and the back perspective. So I think you've got the perspective down on the front. Her snout might be a bit too small, but you've got the perspective down because like it does create that foreshortening when like you have a snout looking like right at you. You might need to make it a little bit larger just to get that sense of like it's coming towards the camera. I think that might help you a lot. I think also like I get that the ears are going back because you can see that on the side view, but from the front it's flattened them out quite a bit. I might along the sides here add some texture, like add this like little fluffiness stuff going on here just to create some more volume and maybe have them come out to the side a little bit just to get that shape. This is rough. Her fur is black. She has orange stripes on her tail and piercings. Her tail... Oh, her tail is scaled. Okay, so there is... Okay, lizardy stuff then. Never mind. Normal Wolver Spitfire. She has electric powers. Okay. Okay. So yeah, if she has reptile stuff, then I think you got that with the tail. But yeah, I think you need a bit more kind of fluff and detail along the side just to get that kind of similar ear shape here. That you have on the side view. I think, yeah, making her nose and snout a little bit larger can help with that perspective. I'd say with the fur mane, I think it's just gone very, like, geometric and stiff. Like, I think you need to add some of these curls that you have on the side and quarter view. Like they might have to go off to the side a little bit and look a little bit funny, but like it's hair, it's very organic. Don't be afraid to add in those like big chunks and curls that you have going on here because it looks so like big and like fluffy here, and you have these like big like wings of fur coming off the back. Like it just feels very subdued here, and I think it's because you're trying to really get the like form of it, but I think you need to just go a bit more stylized and really lean into like the curves and the kind of diamond shape of it all and really push that at the front. And then with the back, I'm getting that same idea where it looks very geometric. It feels very stiff. I think you need to add in more of those curves and don't be afraid of making it look very organic. Yeah, because I get that, like, these are supposed to be 3D and kind of coming toward the viewer. But yeah, it's just making them look very... Makes them look, like, shell-like, honestly, and less like hair. Like, I think you need to soften this out a bit with some curves. Her eyes are also more human, same color as human form, but the sclera are dark purple. Oh, hell yes. Bless. Awesome. So yeah, did you have any other questions about this? Was this helpful? I don't know. Yeah, I think the reason it might not feel the same is I think you're just losing that shape of her that you have, or you've elongated her a lot. And I think she's just missing that like soft diamond shape throughout. Because I think you can still have her be like lanky and tall, but I think you just need to like, I don't know, fill out her torso more, or like make her legs thicker, that kind of thing. Because in her human form, she has very, she's very bottom heavy. And yeah, she has the diamond shapes everywhere and the curves. It's hard to get the fur to line up with the same points all around. Yeah, true. Very true. The pants make her legs look thicker than they are. Yeah, but I think you need to lean into that shape of her though. Well, I don't know. I guess in these ones she does have like the kind of thicker knees than in this the sketch over here. But anyways, let me know if you have any other questions about that. I'll move on to the next one. The last one is Bugbear. This is a creature that shows up in episode 7. And this is the bestiary sheet. Oh. Sorry, getting a phone call. How's the presentation? I make these in Google Docs and screenshot them to make the text a lot easier. Since my drawing program has no way to make text. Is it easy to read? Does it look balanced? I have issues with the bugbear's stripes. Can't explain why. It seems almost too random. I like patterns that follow rhythm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I think readability wise, I think you've done a good job with like laying out your text. Yeah, it definitely feels like something out of like a guidebook or like a strategy guide, I guess, from a video game or something. I especially like here where you have all the stats and you have the like reference for scale and stuff, and it's all very like black and white. Really good contrast, very easy to read. I love the font and symbols you've chosen. They're very helpful for like visibility and reading it. I find here the text itself is easy to read. I think it needs a bit higher contrast though. I find the background is a little bit dark for the color of the text. You might want to lighten up the background a little bit, or darken it and make the text light. Up to you, but I think the contrast needs to be there a little bit more. You may want to, it's hard to say because I know you have you've either made more of these or have plans to. There's a lot of empty space down here below this description, but I understand that like you may have other entries that like take up the full space. You might want to cut it down a little bit, like make this block shorter or put something down here. Even if it's just like decor, like you have framing this sheet. Something like that just to fill it up a little bit. Not necessary, but something to think about. As for the design of the bugbear, I really like the silhouette. It's got a very like intimidating shape to it. You mentioned, I didn't read it out loud, but you mentioned how the vines are just like a black mask to make it easier to draw and say animate. I have 10 others. Yeah. But I think it works because I worry it might read a little bit as hair rather than vines. You might want to add just like a couple little details. It's hard to say. I mean, once you see it like in action in the comic, it might be a bit different, but you might want to add like, even if it's just like a little bit of highlight showing like the texture on it, maybe. I don't know. That one's tricky. I feel like I'd have to see more examples of it. But I think for the utility of easy to replicate, I think this works really well. And as for the markings, so you say you feel like they're too random. I think I like the texture on them. They're very, they feel like they're easy to replicate, but I like the organicness of them because this is like a creature and you might run into more of them that have like different patterns slightly. So I wouldn't worry too much about it like not being super structured, for example, because you know it's fur. It's very organic. I do think it feels a little bit sparse. I like this one big patch on the forearms, but I think you need to add like a couple more little ones on the upper arm, like maybe 3 to 5, probably, kind of going from the elbow up. Totally depends on what you like, but yeah, it does feel a little bit sparse. I'd either coat like the left side with them or like have them maybe like cover more of like the inside of the arm. Yeah, but I love the kind of ovally shapes you have going throughout. I like how it comes through in like the silhouette, in like the stance of the legs. I like how the claws all turn all ovally and stuff when they're closed. Like it just really strong shapes going on here. I love the oval mouth and teeth and the eyes. Like very cool. I do wonder if you could bring the blue glow elsewhere. It stands out quite a bit, which I think works because I think you can do some really cool stuff with like, like displaying this creature. Like I can see like, you know, there's like a shadowy panel and you just see the eyes staring out. Like that would be really cool. But I wonder if the glow can like be elsewhere. Maybe it will in the environment. I'm not sure. But they do stand out a lot. So yeah, just something to think about. If it comes through in like the environment it appears in, then don't worry about it. But you might want to do something like, I don't know, adding like a tint of blue somewhere else on the design. It doesn't have to glow, but like a little bit of blue or like maybe some bluey saliva grossness because it has some going on here. Yeah, totally up to you. You could use it as like shine on the vines too. You could use like a bluey highlight on it. Anyways, is that it for that? Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think with the problem with the stripes is they feel very sparse. And I think if you keep the organic shape and then, oh, or blue blood, that would also be cool. Oh my god, I was also thinking about Attack the Block where they have like the glowy mouths. Like I don't know if the glowy mouth fits this monster, but that's definitely what I was thinking of. I do like the idea of blue saliva. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to glow, but like just like some little cyan kind of saliva stuff might work. Or maybe adding like a hint of blue to the claw, something like that. Anyways, do you have any other questions about this one or anything I didn't cover? Yeah. I love the stats, by the way. That's laid out really well. If I was a kid reading this, I would have lost my mind. This is so cool. This is right up my alley. We love some monsters. All the time. I'm good, thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you for submitting. Okay, so next we have Fitz. Okay, Fitz. So for the first one you submitted through the Google Drive, I'm not going to show it on screen just because, like, I don't think it's too spicy, but I'm a little worried about showing it on YouTube because they might flag it. So for context of people watching, it's just one of the characters in it is a fella showing a lot of skin. It's not this one. It's a different image. So it's just one of the characters is very naked. But yeah, so I don't want to risk it. But hey, don't worry, Fitz. It doesn't... you said it's like not intended to be NSFW, so we're good. I just don't want to risk it with YouTube because they are mean to us. Okay. So let me see. Okay. So I have it open. I'm just not going to show it on screen. Okay. So the two characters are from the... Here, how about so that people don't think I'm talking about this one? I'll just go on Facecam. Okay, so... Two characters are from a novel I'm working on. The one in front is an exorcist named Maddox, and the other is a demon named Nico. For the drawing, I tried to experiment with more loose and painterly style. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the coloring, shading, anatomy, composition, and personality/dynamics. Okay. So yeah, so it feels like personality-wise, they feel very like adversarial. Like Nico feels like devil on your shoulder type. Like so before reading it, well, I guess exorcist. Maddox gives off very like pious priestly vibes. Miku. I'm sorry, it's because of our cat Miku. I'm like, baby. Okay. Right. Anyways, so Maddox, yeah, looks very pious, especially with the pose. He's got his hands folded like this kind of thing. And is dressed very modestly, I guess. Like he's wearing like a full like shirt, like buttoned up to the neck and stuff. Devil on the shoulder and slightly antagonistic. Yeah, exactly. It feels like he's tormenting Maddox, and Maddox is done with it. But yeah, Maddox also gives off very kind of like lonely, like gloomy vibes almost. And then Maddox gives off like trickstery, like playful kind of vibes. Like he's in a very like antagonistic pose, but he looks very also kind of cheerful and non-threatening. Does that make sense? Okay, so as for the loose painterly stuff, so I think you definitely got it with that. I think because I've seen some of your stuff where you've submitted like sketches and it's very, very loose. And I've given you a hard time about it before. But I think with this, you've done a good job with like, it still feels like textured and painterly, but it feels more kind of solid. So I think you've done a good job with that and the line art where you've got like, some places have like more kind of thick lines, but they feel very like textured, and they also feel kind of like shadows, especially on like the bottom of Maddox's like forearms, like where Nico is like lit from the back or shadowed at the back. Like the thicker lines feel very shadowy and intentional. I think... Oh, I really like the texturing and color in Maddox's hair. I think you've done a very good job of like creating like really showing the volume and shape of his hair. Because the locks are very dense. They're low contrast between the locks, but I think that works because it kind of creates like an overall shape to the hair, where like, for example, Nico's hair is a lot more defined because you have like these really dark lines in between all the different like curls and locks of hair, where Maddox has very his hair feels like more dense, I guess. Like, it just creates a different hair texture, and I really like it. And I think you've done a good job with like adding in your highlights to show the volume of the hair, because like it's similar to how I have my bangs, where you can see like at the front there's like a little bit of highlight, and then it gets darker underneath and on top, because that's like the concave, not the concave, but like it shows the curve of the hair. And I think you've done a good job with that. Yeah, and I think it does a good job of showing like the difference of their hair textures and hair colors and stuff. There's a couple contrast issues here and there. It's mostly in Nico's wings. I think you've done a good job with showing the shape, but like the shadow where the wing curves over, the shadow underneath that front part of the wing is very close to the color like on top of the wing where the light's supposed to be hitting. And I think you just need to darken up that shadow or lighten up that highlight on top. And also between Maddox's hair and Nico's wing that's behind him, there's a bit of a contrast issue there, just something to look out for, whether like you need to add like a highlight on Maddox's hair right there, or change the lighting on the wing. And then I don't know. I'm torn on this. Nico's skin color and the clothing that Maddox is wearing is very close in color. Like, I can tell that Maddox's clothing is like a little bit darker. There's a bit more, I guess, red in it. Like, yeah, it's like a little bit darker. You can tell that it's textured differently. But the colors are very close. Quite honestly, I'm not sure what you'd change it with. Maybe you need to darken some parts of it just to create that contrast, whether it's like, because he has like the hem of his shirt, I guess, like the, what do you call it? The stitching thing here. What's it called? It's like on his collar and then down the front of his shirt. Anyways, maybe darkening that, adding some contrast pieces there. It's hard because I know you want to go for like light clothing, but there's a contrast issue there. I'm just not sure what to do about it based on your designs. Yeah, structurally things are looking good anatomy wise. I find Nico, his head is well structured. His face and his head are well structured. Same with Maddox. Maddox overall is well structured. Especially with the hands. Like, I really like how you've shown like the hands folded. I think you've rendered that really well. Nico's body feels a bit stunted. His arm, the one that's like extended out, feels a little bit short. And his body feels very short. Like, I feel like his hip, you've got it kind of above Maddox's elbow. I feel like that would be below his elbow, if that makes sense. Like, it just feels like, because I can kind of tell that you're doing some foreshortening here, where he's like leaned forward and then like his hips are back farther, but I think it just needs to be lengthened a little bit. It's just looking a little bit stunted. I was trying to do some foreshortening with his body. Yeah. It might also be you need his torso to overlap his leg. Because, yeah, I think it could work if maybe you moved his hips down a little bit and then showed, like, yeah, his torso and stomach kind of covering his leg a little bit more. Would probably help. Yeah. Do you have any other questions on this one? Anything I didn't cover? Oh, compositionally, I think you need a... I don't know. It depends on what you're going for. It looks very much like a... like a poster? And it looks like... Actually, yeah, I think that's why I'm reading it. It looks like a poster because it looks like where Nico's wing is on the left. It looks like that's like the perfect place to put like a title. So I think if that's your intention and adding some text in there would like balance it perfectly. But if you just want to keep it like this, I think you need to either move them both to the left a little bit or add a little space on the right to create some breathing room. But compositionally, I think that is what you need. Perhaps the curve should go the other way? On the leg? Yes. So I think that's what you might need. Yeah. So those are my thoughts on the composition. Do you have any other questions? Otherwise I can move to the next one. Could add the story title there? Yeah, totally. Exactly. If it was like a book jacket, you'd have like Nico and Maddox on the front, and then the back would be the wing, and you'd have like the text and title and synopsis there and stuff. Anyways. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. Otherwise, I will move to your other piece that you submitted that I can show. Because hopefully YouTube won't yell at me and be mean. Okay. All right. So this one. Okay. So, there are 2 designs for a character I made for a new D&D campaign. Oh, this is the same character. I thought it was 2 different ones. That would be a cute book jacket. Hell yeah. Okay, the theme of the campaign is vigilantes and superheroes. So my character is sort of themed around magical girls and boys as a concept. He's a warlock. His powers revolve around being... Oh, another being giving them to him, his patron. Okay. Okay, so left is average appearance. The right is the transformed outfit. His vigilante name is Tatiana. Oh, hell yes. Yeah, I'm definitely getting fairy vibes. Okay, I'll give you have some spoilered content for like personality, so I'll give the read on the character. So he seems very like serious and tough in his initial outfit, and then in the transformed outfit, he looks a lot more shy. I feel like the read I get is that like he's very masculine and tough, and then he'll get like this more kind of feminine outfit. And be very embarrassed about it, and then like learn to be like, I don't care. I look good, and I still feel masculine and powerful and stuff. That's the vibe I'm getting. Next month I'll have my voice being more modest. That's okay. That's accurate. Awesome. I like it. I like it. Okay, so I'm reading what you wrote. He's neutral to actually doing good and doesn't particularly want to be a hero. His patron, who he has a crush on, decided they should make a difference in the world and sent him off to do that. He's serious and doesn't know a lot about how the world works due to growing up in the Feywild. So he's naive. I can see that. I can get some himbo vibes. He looks a bit... I think I was reading him as very, like, serious and tough. Though on close inspection, he does look a little confused. He does look a little himbo-y. Okay, awesome. So feedback on design, coloring, anatomy, etc. Awesome. Okay, anatomy-wise, these are looking great. Very structured. Yeah, great balance on the structure of the face and the arms and torso and legs and stuff. Like everything looks very, structured, balanced, pretty well in perspective, that kind of thing. The only thing I'm noticing anatomy-wise is this hand back here looks a little big. Just in comparison to like his hands here and this one here. Just something to keep in mind. I think it just needs to be shrunk down a little bit, and that would give his forearm a bit of room to be a bit longer. But that's the only thing I'm really seeing that stands out. Anatomy-wise, as for the posing, yeah, I think you're saying a lot about the personalities just with the posing and the expressions. Also, we love some pointy ears. You've captured my heart. He's naive in the sense of what is money? Why do I need that? With people's intents, he's more suspicious. Okay. Oh, that's a really fun character. That's a favorite story trope of mine, is like fish out of water, where they're like new to a place, whether it's like a fantasy creature or an alien or something, and they're like, what is this place? And they get into hijinks. Anyways. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, you're showing a lot of personality with the posing, because here he looks very self-assured, strong. And then here he's looking a lot more shy, kind of leaning into a more like feminine pose, I guess. I feel bad saying that because, like, man, gender roles, who needs them? And gender expectations, get out of here. But anyways, yeah, it feels very like magical girl, anime girl type stuff, where like you know, knees together with their little foot flared out, that kind of thing, where men are expected to just stand tall and look tough. Anyways, but yeah, but I think you are showing like this kind of shy side where he's kind of like trying to cover up a bit. He's looking down and all blushy, whereas here he's like very like standing straight and tall. Yeah, so great work with showing the personalities there. Lots of good movement in the poses as well. You've got a nice like, even though he's just standing up straight, you've got like a nice kind of curved through line on the gesture. Good use of showing the stance with like the perspective. And then here you've got lots of like contrasting kind of lines going through the gesture as well. So that's really great. Design and color stuff. I find with his initial design, it feels a little... it feels a little too monochrome, I think. Because, like, it's all variations on this, like, brown color. Which I think works in a lot of ways. It feels very... like, it gives him this very kind of muted, serious tone. I might try and bring in some other colors. Like, he's got some nice blue in his eyes. Like, maybe you need that elsewhere. And I think you also need to bring in, like, even if it's not another color, just like a little bit more vibrance here and there, whether it's like adding some vibrance to his skin or his hair. Like, because his skin is very ashy. I'm not sure if that's because he's like a fairy or an elf type thing, and they might have more kind of like neutral colored skin. It's meant to be a bit monochrome. I could add a couple accent details. Yeah, definitely. Even if it's just like a little thing here and there. But I think what I'm missing is just some parts need a bit more vibrance. Whether it's like bringing in a bit more kind of like reddy, like a cherry wood kind of brown into his hair, making it a bit more vibrant and glossy. Maybe darkening and adding saturation to like the pants. And the hair, possibly. It just needs like a bit of shine to it. His race has ashy skin. Oh, okay, so then don't worry about the skin then. But like, just somewhere needs like a little bit of vibrance and like zhuzh to it. Because like I'm feeling that with the green on his transformed version, where like I love how this bright green contrasts with like the ashiness of the skin and stuff. It stands out so much and it's really nice. Yeah, and I also like how he goes from having like very kind of like dark colors to very like bright and airy colors. I think that's a really good transformation. I also like how you have some kind of echoes and parallels between his outfits, even though they're very different. But I like how you have this kind of like white highlight on his boots, and then like his shoes here feel like a folded out version of the highlight on the boot. And then same with like he's got these like white under bits on the back of his shirt where they feel kind of like they've just migrated up as like the little chest covering on this design. Yeah, and then he has the same kind of like shirt collar, but it's been turned into this like flower petal thing here. I think that's really cute. I might even add like something here to his hair that matches these flowers here, even if it's just like I don't know, a clip or like a string, like a ribbon or something that he uses to tie back like his braid, and then it can kind of fold out into these flowers when he transforms. But yeah, really good use of like echoing the same design. Is just like frilly over here. Add a little blue flower. Yeah, that would be great. Exactly. Yeah, because he is from the fairyland, so he's a little bit natural, right? Yeah. I think that's it, really. I think he just needs a bit more vibrance here, a bit of zhuzh. I don't know where I'm getting that word from. It just feels right. But yeah, totally up to you. Do you have any other questions on this? Oh, I really like his nose, by the way. I like the little point. It's very good. It's a good nose. We love a nose with a little bump on it. 10 out of 10. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. So I think after Fitz, the next person was Terrarium, and then Pigment. Yes, I think that was the order. A bit of juice, Ursula, exactly. My boss talks like that. He'll say like, move this a skosh, or like, zhuzh it up a little bit. Like, he has such a fun way of speaking. I think that's good. Awesome, no problem. Thanks for submitting. Okay. Oh, I need to, in between these, I need to encourage you all to like this video if you're having a good time, or if you're learning things, or if you just want to make me feel nice, because you like me. Anyways, please like this video. It would really help. Also subscribe. Hit that gosh dang bell. Anyways, just please do the YouTube things. It would help us out a lot. And also, if you are new here and you would like your stuff critiqued next month, because we do this at the end of every month, you can check out our Patreon listed down below, and we can help you with comic feedback, writing feedback, character designs, set designs, illustrations, basically everything. There we go. So yeah. Okay. Done. I did my YouTube shilling. Let's go. Okay. Terrarium. Okay. Let's see. So posting another pic of Anna. So I remember this. This was from your like, it was like a 1950s kind of inspired like magic I think it was like a magic school type thing. And this girl was she's like a dryad, and she's bad with plant magic. And then there was like the fire fella, fire elemental guy as well, who's good with plant magic. I remember these. Okay. I'm just posting line art this time since that's what I wanted opinion on. Okay, I tried to improve line weight variation to emphasize shadows. I gave her a button-up shirt. Awesome. Love that. I also made her hair form a bit more obvious. Okay. Well, I'm mostly interested in line art and I'm open to all critique. All right. That was it? Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's look closer at this line art here. Okay. So, I think you've done a good job with like adding more weight to where there is shadow. I love a good black fill for shadow. That's just a personal preference though. But anyways, yeah, I think you've done a very good job. Like you can see a lot of weight like underneath the arms where the shirt is making contact with her arm. I love the texturing on her hair. It's like nice and subtle. I love how you get like very close and compact with the shadow and stippling and stuff down here. Just to create that shadow underneath. It creates such good texture and form. And really great job with that. Love it. I also really, yeah, I like the more kind of subtle shading underneath her chin to show like she's lifting her chin up like that. Also really great. Yeah, and I love how you've added shadow in between like the clothing folds with the little like bunching of clothing like at her skirt and at her waist. Love the cast shadows on her legs. And I love this contact shadow on the ground. Looking so good. Amazing. Yeah, yeah, I think you've done a very good job with adding a lot of different weight to the line art. I love the very thin kind of details with her like wooden skin details. I love the nice subtle like lines for like the seams of her shirt and like the folds. Yeah, awesome stuff. You're doing a good job with like having the folds like follow the forms without like overdoing it so that it like steals attention from other stuff. I also love the little like wood grain knot at her knees. That's really cute. Good little details. Yeah, and I think you've also done a good job with like I said, showing the form of the hair. I think you've created good like kind of sectioning and like really shown the shape of it really well. Because I remember last time I was confused about it being like pom-poms versus like a I guess like a, what would you call it? Like just her hair being down, but like curled and styled. Yeah, her hair being down versus up. So yeah, I feel like I get the shape a lot more. And yeah, and I love the sectioning of it. Really nice. Yeah, for the line art. Let me think. If there's anything else I can tell you. Yeah, it's hard because like I don't want you to go overboard with it. Like I don't want you to do so much like shading with your line work, but I love the texture on the hair and this little shadow underneath her chin. Like I'd love to see a little bit more of that like subtle kind of like cross-hatching and stippling elsewhere. So even if it's just like extend the shadow underneath her arm a little bit with some like some lines or some cross-hatching and stuff, just to show a few more subtle shadows. But like I'd use them sparingly. Like you don't want to go too overboard, but just because I love what you've done up here, I'd love to see it elsewhere on the rest of her. Yeah, because you can use these really hard shadows, which I love, for more kind of direct lighting, like very dramatic lighting. So yeah, it works really well for like under the skirt and like her shadow on the ground. But if you want to kind of like soften things out, like trying to think of like a good way. You could do it to show tone quite a bit. Like if you wanted to show like a really threatening or moody kind of scene, you could use that really like sharp dark shadows on her. And then if you want to show something more kind of like maybe like a soft vulnerable moment for her, you can use more of the cross hatching to make the light feel like diffused and softer. Play around with it. Try doing some different kind of moods and lighting stuff with it. I think you get some really cool results because yeah, love your texture work, love your line art and your shadow work. Yeah, really awesome work with using the different line weights. I think you leaned into it a lot and I think it really paid off. It looks really great. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Other stuff? I think the only other thing to watch out for, I think there's some perspective weirdness happening with the bottom of her skirt here. So like, I understand that she's like moving this leg forward. So you would have the skirt kind of follow that, like have this triangle upward shape as it like drapes over her knee. But then I think it extends down too far behind her. I feel like we'd see the underneath at the knee here, and then after that it would kind of curve this way. The same kind of curve as her belt, for example. So it would be like curved and then it would hit kind of close to the knee and then go up like that and then go back to being curved like that. So that's just one little thing to keep in mind. I think the shape of her leg is also being lost under the skirt. I think once you fix the perspective on the bottom of the skirt, it might help to kind of make the lines follow the shape of her leg, because right now it looks like her leg is kind of curving in like this because we have these lines right here. So if her leg is extending like that, you'd want the lines to kind of come off here. So there'd be like tension at the top here, and then the lines would kind of drape off of her leg. And it is difficult because it is a hanging skirt, so they'd be kind of like long and go towards the bottom of the skirt. Anyways, you can play around with that. That's just something to keep in mind for next time. Do you think the line art is too thin? Because I know my line art is pretty thin. I like it. I think it works. I think you do have places where it is very thin, but I think where you do it, if you're doing like the detail stuff, like I said, like showing the edge of the belt or like showing the details in her skin or like the folds. But the line art in general, I don't think is too thin. I think it works very well for your style and what you're going for. I personally don't find it too thin. I think if you were using like this kind of line for everything, like that what you have on like the sleeve here or like the texture on her arm and stuff, I think if you're using that for everything, it might be a little thin, but you're using lots of variation, and I think your general kind of line is nice. It's a good weight. I need to practice skirts more. They're very difficult. It helps to just kind of treat them like a cylinder, or then kind of draw on top of that, if that makes sense. But yeah, they can be hard, especially when they're in motion or if they're like I don't know, if there's like a breeze going and they're blowing in the wind, like it's really difficult. But yeah, definitely draw from life. Treat them like a cylinder. And always make sure you draw the legs and waist under the skirt and then draw the skirt on top. Just because like if you draw the skirt and then try to place the legs underneath it, sometimes things can get weird. I definitely have trouble with that. I always need to structure things underneath so that I don't accidentally make like the thighs way too long or something. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This always happens. I don't know how. Okay, there's some people who like stream for like hours every day. How do they talk constantly like this? My voice gets so scratchy when we do these longer streams. So, I don't know how they do it. But anyways, yeah, Terrarium, do you have any other questions about this? I think this was the only submission from you, right? Goodness gracious is right. Forever Ago Bones was telling me to go to like a speech therapist, because maybe they could teach me how to talk properly. That was it. Awesome. Well, thanks for submitting. All right. So now we have Pigment, and then we can end with Sean's submission. All right, Pigment, are you here? Let's see what your comments were. Okay. The last two are good guys. Okay, so there's 3 characters. The last 2 are good guys, and the main villain of the story. Oh. The first, okay, sorry. Let me get these open correctly. Hello. Okay. The first is Jasper. He's Lydia's childhood friend and adoptive brother. Adorable. Same questions as usual, but I specifically would like feedback on his hair and shield. I haven't really drawn this style of hair before. I'd like to know if it looks good and fits my style. Okay. All right. So, let me take a look at this hair. Okay, I see. So I think you've done a very good job. So it looks like his hair is in braids or dreadlocks. I think braids. Okay, anyways, so I think you've done a good job of like adding texture to the hair that I really like. Like, it's nice and subtle, this kind of like rougher texture to the edges. Dreadlocks. Okay. So yeah, okay, I think then that works really well. Because if it was braids, you might want to add in more like more of like the pleat detail in the braid, but since this is dreadlocks, like I really like the kind of rough texture on them. I think you've done a good job with separating them out and adding shading to them. Like, I like how you have this kind of like general shadow on everything, but then you've gone in and done all of like the various locks and like shaded like near the scalp to create that very defined shape. I like the highlights on everything. The colors work really well. Yeah, I think you've done a good job. I worry a little bit in some of these. I really like up here where the dreads look very full. And very, what's the word? They look very like thick and full, and they just like have a good general shape. Like I don't mean the shape of each dread, but just like the silhouette of the hair looks really great. And I'm finding here they feel like they fall a bit flat. Like, I like how much they like curve up here. It makes them feel very full and like yeah, just a really good shape. Where here it's very flat at the top. and gives like a very different vibe to his hairstyle. And I think they've become very thin in some of these drawings. So if I were you, I might make sure they keep feeling like thick and bouncy. Yeah, I really like how they curve up here. Yeah, and just make sure they're all kind of like tucked together, and creating like a nice shape behind. Yeah, like they're actually solid. Exactly. So I think that's why I might have also thought it was braids, just because here they feel like they feel thinner and more I'm trying to think of the word. I just feel like they'd fall this way if they were like thinner braids. Have to practice a bit more. It's difficult, especially when you, because like they are all individual pieces of like individual sections of hair. So like if he's like tilting his head, they'll fall a certain way, or if he's like moving, they'll fall a certain way. But yeah, but I think if you just try to like, because you've got two kind of shapes here creating this like ponytail that he's got, where like you have this like curved bit up here and then it falls a bit heavier at the bottom. So I think no matter what way it's going, I mean there's some ways where they can go all over the place and it's fine, but just try to keep that curved top and have it like reaching above his head, the like top of his head a little bit, and then keep this kind of waterfall shape at the back when he's like standing neutrally. I think that'll help you kind of break it down a bit. But I think the hair works really well in your style. It's still simplified, but you still get all the nice details you need, and you've done a good job with like shading them. What was the other questions? Oh, and the shield. So the shield, I like the color for it. I like that you have this kind of subtle gradient going around the edges where you really are showing like the shape and form of it, where like you've got these like lines following the form. I like how you've got a bit of like a light glow around them. It just creates like a nice little bit of texture to it. And then yeah, the shadows around the edges make it feel very like voluminous. It highlights the shape really well. A teardrop shape, exactly. It's meant to look like it's glowing, but the background is a bit too light for that. Yeah, it definitely would help changing up the background a little bit, though you could do some more effects on him to give that glowing effect. Hold on, I'll finish up what I was saying about the form of this. So yeah, the form is really great for the shield. I can definitely tell that it's like supposed to be glowy and it's like magic-y. And like I like the transparentness and the like how you can like see his hand through it and stuff. I think that works really well. I think it needs more contrast. I darken these lines up just a smidge, like just a little bit, so that they're a bit easier to see. It might help when like the shield is in context in the comic and like reacting with like scenery and characters, where you can see it like glowing off things, and maybe like if he's in a darker environment, it would glow a lot more. But I'd recommend just keeping in mind that like I want to see these little details. They're really cool looking. They add a lot of form and shape to it. You might want to go like a little bit darker, maybe like not quite as dark as his like overshirt, but a little closer to that, if you know what I mean. Play around with it, because like you still want it to feel transparent, but you need that contrast, I think. Yeah, and don't be afraid to kind of like darken the middle of the segments of it. Like go like a little bit more vibrant and dark, and then keep the kind of light glow around the lines. I think that adds a lot of depth. Yeah, okay, and as I was saying with like making that glow effect, I think you need to use a bit of a gradient overlay on top of this. So like if it's like, if he's holding it like right here, it would be shining like all down his face. Like you'd see like along his like cheekbones and his forehead, you'd have a bit of like an orange glow on top. I'd honestly take this highlight color that you have like on his nose and cheek and stuff and on his neck, and then like do like a soft like gradient, or like take a really soft brush and just go over it, and then like lower the opacity so it's not like so overpowering you can't see like the details underneath. And then same with this arm, so you'd have a lot of glow right here on the shoulder, on the front of his hand, probably on the front of his arm here, and then you'd have darker shadows kind of going down like the back of his arm and then under his arm here, and the light would even like touch a little bit of his neck. You'd see kind of shine on the front of his hair here. You'd probably see it kind of go across his chest and then kind of peter out as it hits like his far shoulder. Yeah, I think you just need that kind of cast glow light onto him, and that'll help make it feel like it's glowing. Same with like when he has it in an environment and it's glowing on other characters. Like, I'm trying to think of like a good example of like what you could look at in real life. Like I'd find pictures of people holding like, for example, like a paper lantern, or like paper lanterns near people, because they have light coming off them, or maybe even like a neon sign or like a fluorescent kind of light type thing. Especially one that has like color to it, that's not just like white light. Since I'm highlighting and shading the comic differently than I usually do, I have a bit of learning curve. It's hard because yeah, it looks like you're using like cell shading for everything. So yeah, it's hard to find that balance. If you don't want to use a gradient, you could always just use like a big patch of highlight and then darken your shadows and stuff. Like, you could do a couple steps of highlighting to like imply a gradient, if that makes sense. So like if the glow is hitting his face, you might have like a really bright patch hitting like his face here, and then you'd have a step that's like a little bit darker, and it's all still like hard edge cell shading, so like it's like a little bit darker and more transparent, and then you'd have like his normal skin tone and hair tone, and then like the shadows behind. So you could do that. You could do like a few steps of highlight to imply a gradient. I'm self-studying lighting and shadows. It's hard, but you can do it, Triple D. I believe in you. Yeah, but look at something like a colored light, or like through a paper lantern might help, because the paper of the lantern would like diffuse the light and make it have more of that kind of like soft fuzzy glow. So yeah, so I'd recommend looking up photos of that, because that might help with learning how to like cast that light on top of other things. Okay, so then I think the other general stuff you were asking about was like color palette and personality and stuff. Was that it? Color palette is great, very cohesive. Love the orange and the yellow. I love like the warmth in his skin tone. I like how you've got he's got this like orange hair tie, and then it matches like the orange of his shirt. I love the orange, the yellow shoes, and then the yellow shirt. And then even though he's wearing like, it looks like gray or brown pants, kind of beigey, grayish, it's still got that like orangey brown color to it, so it still fits the palette. I think it works really well. And then you have a very similar color to the pants in the hair, but it's like, you know, darker, a bit more saturated. I also like the sun design. That's really cute. I think honestly, heighten the contrast on this, because that is such a cute little sun design. Make that a little bit lighter. Whether you use maybe like a lemony yellow on it, or like bring it more towards white, just to show off that design, because it's so cute. You just need higher contrast, I think. yeah, I love the use of the shadows. I like how you're using kind of like a purpley shadow on the pants, and then you're keeping it kind of, well, you've got some purple there on the white of the shoes. But then for like his other shadows and stuff, because purple can create like a gray muddy color when it's mixed with like yellow and some orange and stuff. I like how you've added in some red into like the shadows on his skin and like the shirt and stuff. So yeah, really great work with the colors there. I might, for some of the shadows, I might saturate them a little bit more just to get that contrast down. I think there's some places where the contrast really works. Like I like it on the pants, but I find on his skin it needs a bit more contrast, so that shadow needs to be a bit darker. And same with like the shirt, the overshirt. The undershirt works, but the overshirt needs like a little bit more dark shadows. Yeah, just because of color relativity, because like yellows and whites are, I mean, obviously like the color white is very light, but yellow is red very light, whereas like red colors, so like this orange is very red, and obviously like his skin and hair are darker, and has like some red to it. Because those colors just read very dark, like no matter what, red is always very dark. I think you need to darken the shadows on that just to get that contrast up, and play around with the contrast levels there. But yeah, personality-wise, he looks very peppy and happy and kind of happy-go-lucky kind of character. I like he's got this kind of like smugness to him. But he also looks very like cheerful and supportive and funny. Yeah, I love the red orangey eyes. They're really cool. Yeah. Do you have any other questions on that? Pigment? He teases Lydia. But he's a cinnamon roll? I can totally get that. Like, he seems kind of, like, mischievous and, like, likes to joke around and stuff. But, like, he's also, like, heart of gold, adorable, sweetheart. I definitely get that. I love the expressions that you do with these. They're very helpful with, like, reading the character. All good? Awesome. So the next one was Nova. Okay. The weapons / tech girl. Her power is creating golems that she rides into battle when not in her workshop. Okay. Okay. So first off, I think there's a bit of an issue with the background color that you've chosen for this. Like, it works really well for Jasper, just because like there's good contrast between like the yellow background and then like his colors. But I'm finding with Nova is because she's very yellow heavy in her design, and like her hair and skin are very light. There's not a lot of contrast between this like yellow background and then her design. I'd recommend either darkening the yellow in the background or maybe choosing a different color. Just because, yeah, it makes reading her a little bit difficult because the contrast is lessened there. But I think overall you have good contrast in her design. I like how, what am I thinking here? Yeah, good contrast between like the different sections of her. So like between her hair and her skin and like the shirt. Yeah, the colors are very harmonious. I like how you've got these kind of like beigey khaki pants that works really well with like the yellow of her hair, and then like the brown of the boots and like the brown name tag and stuff. Like, it's all very cohesive. I really like the splash of contrast with her eyes, having these like nice bright blue eyes. I think she needs, so similar to like how I was talking with Fitz earlier, I'd like to see a bit like some other colors through her design. Right now she is very like kind of yellow, like creamy brown heavy. I'd love to see a couple more splashes of that yellow, that blue that comes through with her eyes. So even if that's just like maybe giving her like jeans instead of like khaki pants, or adding some like blue zippers to her boots, or maybe like a tool belt with some like silver or blue on it. Something like that, just to like bring something more to like the bottom half of her design. But yeah, I think that'll help kind of add some visual interest and like build it up more in her more casual clothing. Oh, you know what would be cute? You don't have to do this, by the way. But what if you know those like the overalls that like mechanics will wear? It's like a full body suit, right? What if she was wearing that, but like had like the top unzipped and like tied around her waist? Wouldn't we do that in Fullmetal Alchemist? Anyways, lots of characters have that. But anyways, that would be really cute. So that is a way you could bring in, like, because she could have like, it could be khaki like these pants, or blue, like maybe like a gray blue. And then you could add like patches to it or something, and like little grease stains and stuff like she has on her clothes currently. But yeah, that'd be a cute outfit. Yeah. Listen, I love a little overall kind of jumpsuit. Coverall? Is that it? Because I know overalls are like the farm. I think it just depends where you're from. But I know when I say overalls, I always think of like the farmer, where it's like made of denim and it has just like the straps, and then it's like the pants and stuff. Where coverall is like the full body like jumpsuit type thing with like the zip up. Anyways, Winry does that, hell yes. Iconic mechanic look, gotta say. Anyways, that was my feedback. Just needs some blue or maybe an accessory or something. Yeah, I love her shape. She's got this very like round. It's not even round. It's a very like, it's not diamond either. She's just got good shape language. Like you can see it like in her hair and in her body. I like how she's got kind of like muscular arms and like a very kind of broad build. Yeah, super duper cute. She seems personality wise like very cheery, maybe a little bit ditzy, which we stan. Overalls are pretty common for farmers, but I see mechanics with them too. It is true. I love a good overall outfit, yes. But yeah, love her body type. She seems very cheerful and sweet and energetic. Yeah, I like her. That's her exactly. Hell yes. Yeah, anatomy wise, really good structure. You got some good contrast going on with the shadows. I think it's just because she's got a very light color palette. But yeah, I like how you've used some kind of red, creamy brown kind of shadows on her. I think you've got some good contrast going on there. Love the kind of like oil grime texture on her. I think that adds a lot of character and it's really cute. I love her arms, by the way. I'm in love. I want her to hold me. I want her to pick me up and hold me. Good intentions, but a little dumb once in a while. Aw, same! Am I Nova? Is that me? But yeah, really cute design. Did you have any other questions on her? I think you've done a really solid job with her. I'm glad the contrast was good. I made the canvas black and white to check. Oh, that's a really great idea. Yes, because that really helps with picking out contrast. you'll kind of learn as you go with color stuff, but like what tends to happen is that certain colors have very I don't know how it works because I'm not a science lady, but different colors have different like wavelengths and stuff. Like that's how we perceive them with our eyes and stuff. But some colors are just always darker. So like red, for example, that's the one I always remember, is red is always very dark and yellow is always very light. So yeah, so and the thing is, like with yellow especially, when you get dark with it, it can get very muddy. Like it goes very brown. If you want to keep something feeling yellow and vibrant, sometimes you need to bring it over to orange because that's a bit darker because it has red in it. So yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind. I think purple can also be darker, but that's because sometimes purple can be very red. I think blue can get pretty dark too. But anyways, you'll learn it as you do more work with color. And yeah, it always helps to just check the contrast by turning things black and white or squinting your eyes. So when you do your little squinty eyes at your painting or your work, it gets rid of a lot of the color information because there's like less, I guess, light coming in. And you can see that contrast easier. Awesome. So that's good. So let's move on to the last one. Is this the villain? Yeah, the main bad guy. So this is Archeron. He's a bit unhinged. Me too. But he does what he does because he believes it's the right thing to do. My main concern with his design is his eyes. The markings on them are relevant to the story, but I'm not sure if they look all right. Okay. Let's see his eyes. Oh. See, from afar, I didn't notice the, it looks like tendrils or veins kind of texture on his eyes. Like from afar, it just looks like shadows, but up close, you can really see it. The first crime boy we love. We love a crime boy. Okay. Okay, for the eyes in particular, I don't think you have to worry. Sorry, what did you say? Not sure if they look all right. Do you know what's kind of bothering you about them? Like what do you think feels off about the effect on the eye? Just so that I'm covering the right thing. Because I think the texture's good. I think there's just some places where, like, I think you need a bit more space in between the tendrils. Just to, like, let them stand out. Because if you have a lot of them, like, grouped together, especially when, like, someone's looking at it from far away, it can be really hard to kind of parse the different shapes. So if you have a little bit of space between some of the tendrils, like, I think some of them you can group together, and then some have more kind of spacing in between them. Will help define the shapes a little bit, but I like the effect overall. It's really cool. It's spooky. I like it. 10 out of 10. Like, I really like this expression where, like, the one eye is, like, kind of closed and the other one's wide, and you can, like, really see the tendrils in this one. Like, that's a really cool effect. I like what you're doing with it. They just looked off. I wanted them to look tendrily. I'm not sure if I pulled it off. Yeah, so I think that is just you need more space between the tendrils. Maybe do less of them and make them like a little bit bigger, possibly. That might help you. Just make sure like the silhouette of the tendrils is always really defined, because right now they're very textury, if that makes sense. Okay, but yeah, his overall design. Yeah, so I like the color palette. I like how you're using some good contrast between like the yellow of his shirt and then lots of purples. The yellow comes through in like the brown of his hair and like with the skin tone and stuff. Yeah, and then you've got good contrast with these like bluey purples with like, I like how the short vest part is like a bit more to the blue side, and then he's got like more purple in the vest over top. It creates a really nice effect where they're very like close, but there's still some variation there. That's really nice. I love his rings. Adds a lot of like neat detail to his hands. And we love some painted fingernails. 10 out of 10. The one thing I would say, I think his boots and his belt, I'd pull them toward the color of his hair a little bit more. They have quite a bit of red or orange in them. And I think you need to pull them back towards the yellow a little bit, just because they're clashing a little bit with the other colors. Whereas like the brown of his hair, because it feels it has a lot of yellow in it, it's really matching and meshing with like the yellow and gold and the rest of his design. So yeah, I think they just need to be shifted a little bit in hue, the belt and the shoes. It's not necessary, but I wonder if you could bring the kind of yellow and purple of the shirt and put it in the shoes. Like with these like side panels, maybe they could be like either that like creamy yellow or the purple, and then have like this the inner part with like the toe and the tongue of the shoe could be you know, one of these colors, just to kind of make his top half and bottom half feel a bit more cohesive. I mean, I do like that the shoes match the belt. That's always how you're supposed to do it, right? But yeah, but he just needs, I think you need to bring some of this yellow and purple down into the bottom half of his design. Because good design work with a character is you can cut them into quarters. So like across the waist, down the middle, and each quarter should look the same with colors and design motifs. That's something to keep in mind. But yeah, love the expressions. He looks very unhinged. I like how you're doing these like big like expressions with his mouth. Like I said, I love this expression with the one eye kind of closed, because you get this like good look at the tendrils in his eyes. And yeah, and he just looks kind of crazy and scary, and not that, sorry, crazy is a bad word and is ableist and mean. He looks mean and scary. He looks unpredictable. There we go. Yeah. Love the sunglasses. And I like how the colors of the sunglasses match with the vest and stuff. That's really great. Love his little pointy incisors. 10 out of 10. We love anyone with some sharp teeth, but it's great on villains. He's a very fun character. Lots of good dialogue. Hell yes. He looks really fun. He looks like a villain. I'd just be like, yes, I want to read more about him. He's so fun. And yeah, I love the hair. It's very cool. He's a cool dude. Yeah, I also like how his beard really frames his face. It really works with like his face shape. I love the rings. They just add so much character to him. I might also recommend rolling up the pants a little bit, like adding a cuff to the bottom. I think that would also help with kind of bringing the full character design together. I mean, play around with it. And you could also add colorful socks. We love some colorful socks on a cool king, you know? He's meant to be kind of parallel to Nyx, the main hero. Oh, of course. That makes a good villain. Awesome. Did you have any other questions about this guy? About this character? Or anything I didn't cover? Yeah, because he's got good contrast. I think some of the colors need to be shifted. If you keep them uncuffed, then you can make it look more like they're hemmed. True, it does make him more fancy if he doesn't cuff his pants. But if he's bisexual, he has to cuff his pants. That's the bisexual rule. I don't know if he's bisexual, but anyways. Awesome. Well, thanks, Pigment. Thanks for submitting. Okay. Awesome. So then we have Sean, who I don't think is here because I think he works Saturdays. Okay, so let's start with this one. So Sean, you can watch this back later. Well, now he's got a cuff. Exactly. Bisexuals cuff their pants. It's a rule. Okay. Hi, Sean. If you're watching this back later, let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer on Discord. Okay, so this first one is named Urien. She's a minor goddess of battle and conquest. Oh, we stand. In the world I'm building. Okay, she's aligned with Odin. Oh, very cool. I took your advice from last critique and tried to refine a bit more. So you're just looking for general feedback and feel of character. Okay, well, she looks very tough. She looks like a cool elf lady who's gonna kick my ass. And yeah, she looks definitely like a goddess of conquest or battle. Though I'm actually not sure if I'm getting like... Wait, is she... Sorry, I just read it, but did you say she's a goddess? She's a minor goddess. Okay. I don't know if I get goddess vibes from her. Maybe demigod vibes. I mean, it depends on what world you're building. But she does look very... Okay, I know she has pointy ears, but she looks very earthly to me. I'm not exactly sure what I mean by that. I think she just looks like a normal warrior to me, and I'm not exactly sure what would make her feel more like a goddess. Maybe she just needs kind of more like flair or outlandishness to her design. I'm not exactly sure. But like again, it really depends on the world you're building, because you could have a world where you have like gods and minor gods and major gods, and they all just kind of look like normal people and are in the world and stuff, or are hiding in the world. So I'm not sure what your intention is here, but she looks very like normal fantasy character to me. I think maybe if you gave her like something more ornate, or gave her some kind of like more magical signifiers or something unearthly. I'm thinking of like, you know, some gods have like glowy eyes, or like I'm trying to think, like if you had like a nature god, maybe having like plants intermingled into their design somehow, whether that's like through their clothing, or like they could have like leaves for hair or something like that. Yeah, there definitely are some like goddess of the hunt vibes here. But I think another thing that's making her feel very kind of like earthly is just the color palette, because it is very neutral tones, like very desaturated, kind of neutral down to earth tones. The only contrast really being like the red in her skin, but everything else is very gray and green and brown. So maybe changing up the color palette might help, adding some more vibrancy to her. I'm not sure. But yeah, as usual, you've got very cool lighting in your work. Good composition. I like how she's like the focus. The curve of the axe brings like your attention back to her. She's got good framing with like the background elements of like the leaves and brush and stuff. Yeah, great composition. Lots of movement in it as usual. Getting like a good look at her. You've got a lot of cool texture going on in the hair. Yeah, I love like the tattoos on her, or the face paint. I'm not sure. Yeah, great expression, great mood through the piece, as usual. You're very good with like mood through like your color and your lighting and your compositioning and stuff. But yeah, so, oh, also, I adore this little bit of shine on her axe here. It gives it such volume and like rigidity, I guess. Like it makes it feel really real, having that little bit of shine to it. I think you did a really good job with that, and I'd love to see more of it throughout the piece. Like, I'd love to see it on the shield. I'm not sure if the whole shield is metal, but even if it's just like some of the like if it has studs on it, or like maybe like a metal frame or something, like having that same shine on it would be really cool. And same with like her shoulder plates, and if she has any other armor on and stuff, just having that nice little shine on it really makes it feel real and draws attention to it, makes it feel really solid. Yeah, great detail, and I want to see more of it. I think... So, I know you said that you were trying to, like, clean it up a little bit and make it more kind of, refined and stuff. I think you still need to push that more. There's lots of sections that still feel, like, too sketchy. So, like, for example, like, her arm here is, like, basically a blur. Like, all the information down here on her front is blurry, like, right here where her arm and her chest are. Like, I know they're in shadow, but, like, I want to be able to perceive them as different shapes still. But yeah, it's very blurry and messy here. Same with, like, underneath her chin, or, like, I'm sure this is her hair back here, and then, like, her jaw and neck are here. But because you have these, like, dark shadows under here, and, like, the tattoos and markings on her, like, they really blend into here, and a lot of the detail is lost. Same with, like, the bottom of her hair here. Like, I love at the top where you've got all these beautiful, like, textures going on, showing, like, her hair and showing how the light is affecting it and stuff. I love, like, the shapes back here, and, like, the strands of hair and, like, locks of hair being, like, blown in the wind. Like, it creates so much movement, and it's cool, but in here it's so blurred together, and you really need to go in and, like, structure it up. Like, I want this everywhere. Like, I want that solidness in your work, because you do such a good job with the lighting and the mood and movement, and I just want to see it, like, made solid. Yeah, and here in the shield, like, it feels like it's missing a lot. It feels very sketchy. A lot of the details in here, like, you've got some highlight on, like, the edge of the shield, but, like, I need more. I need the highlights in there. I need it tightened up and structured, just so I can really see all these beautiful details that you add in here, because you have such a great gesture of a character and a gesture of a mood, and I just want to see those details. Like, I want to see, like, the belt she's wearing. I want to see the crisp edges of the metal pieces she's wearing. I want to see, like, the markings on her, and if she's wearing, like, I don't know, necklaces or medals, or, like, I want to see more of the gorgeous textures in her hair, and, like, the planes of her face and stuff. Like, you've got a great gesture here of her face. A lot of it is very defined here, which is great. You know, I love the expression. I love the little hint of a scar here where you've got some of it, like, highlighted and then darkened to create that kind of, like, texture in the skin. Same with, like, the kind of nick on her brow. Yeah, I just want more of it tightened up so we can really see those beautiful little details and, like, have it really stand out. The background parts of it, I think you can keep gestural, like the stuff right behind her, but, like, these bits in the front, like, I really want to see you, like, making the stuff that's close to the camera more solid and defined. Yeah, just cleaning it up a bit. Because for me, like, this feels very, like, initial concept art. And don't get me wrong, like, that stuff's important and you're very good at it. I would really love to see the kind of polished up stuff, like a finished illustration from you. That would make me very happy. But yeah, she's really cool. I definitely get tough warrior vibes from her. Oh, sorry. When's the next deadline for the next chapter analysis? I'm considering getting the Patreon. Let me see here. So, if you are considering joining our Patreon and getting your stuff critiqued, the deadline for, we call it long form, so that's when we'll look at scripts and like 40, there's a limit of like 40 comic pages and like 3,000 words of writing. But the deadline for that, so we're going to be streaming it on May 26th, which is a Thursday, and the deadline is the Friday before, so May 20th is that when that would be due for submission. So if you want to become a Patreon anytime before then, you can submit on the 20th. And then if you want to do the, we call it the short form, so that's what we're doing today, where we look at illustrations and like single pieces of art. I think it's up to 3 you can submit. That will be streamed on the 28th of May, and it's due on the 27th of May, so the day before. So yeah, if you are interested in signing up, those would be your deadlines. So May 20th and May 27th. Okay, so Sean, I will move on to your last piece. Another goddess of the world I'm building, Lady Titania, Queen of the Fairies? Or the Fairs? Oh my gosh, I just saw your note. You're like, I'm still working on the shield. Okay. I take back my words. Or I told you to fix up the shield because you're still working on it. Okay, right. So this is another goddess. Yeah, so this character feels a lot more elegant. She seems still, like obviously she's still a character who does like fighting and stuff. She feels very, what's the word? Like she's definitely more like ladylike. Like she feels like, because you said she's a queen. Yeah, she feels like a queen. She's got very like feminine clothing and presentation. She feels, just the way the camera is framed, where we're like looking at her from below, it gives her like a very powerful stance. Yeah, I think this one is a lot more tightened up than the other piece that you submitted. So like there's still places where like I'd love to see some of the edges more defined, but like yeah, like I love like the knife she's holding. Like you did a really good job of just like defining out like the highlights and the edges. It's got some really great texturing again with like the little nicks on it and stuff. Yeah, feeling really solid there. Her face feels also very structured and stuff. There's some places where I think you need to tighten it up, like the nose here needs a bit more definition, like where the shadows are. And then same with like the left side of like her mouth and stuff, because you've got like some nice like shadow going like between the lips over here, but it feels washed out over here. But yeah, you can see all the, like the planes of her face. Like I love how much movement there is in the hair and stuff, in like the ties coming off her dress. There's lots of movement even just with like the coil of her bracelets. Yeah, lots of great movement. Again, great composition, dynamic posing. There's lots of elements kind of bringing you around in the piece. I love the kind of subtle cloud kind of background. It looks like she's like standing like above someone she's about to strike, like you know, on a balcony or like a mountaintop or something. Like it's a very powerful piece. And yeah, and I like how subtle the background is, and it doesn't take away from like the main focus of the character. And yeah, like I said, this feels a lot more finished and defined, and I think I want to see more like this. I want to see it even more crisp, like take a lot of these like really blended out places and really give me a sharp line here, like defining her eyelashes and like the crease of her eyelid, and like the shadow on her lips and like under her nose. You want some crisp shadows, and like you know, like at the edge of her hand here. Like a lot of it is disappearing into the cloud behind her because it gets light. And like, you know, I like how the light is hitting it, but you need those defined shadows to really separate it from the background and make it feel really crisp. Yeah. Yeah, great color work, great lighting, posing, like I was saying. Love the warm colors. Exactly, like it's all very, like it's warm colors, but it feels very threatening. Like it's still, despite having a very warm color palette, it feels very like brooding and like just before a storm is about to hit. Like it's very cool. Another thing, I think it's just because the gold on her, like with the earrings and the necklace and the bracelets, like it's very, you've used a lot of sharp edges on it, where a lot of the other stuff, like her dress and her torso and her hair and this hand back here, like is all very glowy and, you know, it needs to have those sharp defined edges, whereas like the jewelry all has very defined edges. It's making it really stand out quite a bit, and I just love to see the other parts of her have those defined edges as well. Yeah, I love the little braid texture here. I want more. I want more, Sean. Please. I want more beautiful details that I know you're capable of. Anyways, your art is always so cool. I love the atmosphere and the colors. The character designs are always so cool. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions on that when you watch this back. And that's it. That's all I got today. That's all our submissions, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you all for joining me today. This was really fun. Oh no, my cats are approaching to harass me, so I better go. I better run before Miku... Oh, hi, Fado. He's over there. He's over there. But yeah, Miku's... She's like right here off camera. She's like staring at me threateningly. So I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go. But thank you all for joining me. Like I said, consider joining the Patreon if you'd like your own stuff critiqued next month. The deadline would be May 20th or the 27th because we have 2 different streams. And yeah, make sure to like and comment and subscribe and ring the bell because it would help us out a lot. And we're really appreciative. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I'm gonna go rest my voice. I love you all. I hope you're all doing well. And I'll see you later. Goodbye.